darkness. Darkness that suffocates, darkness that destroys. Darkness. The kind that wraps around you like a heavy blanket, suffocating everything it touches. In December of 2015, I found myself caught in that very darkness. In the devastating floods in my hometown of Chennai, India, my family and I spent weeks on end without electricity, relying on basic facilities, community kitchens, and perseverance to get by. That experience was an eye-opening moment for me, as it made me realize how much we take basic things like electricity for granted. Something as simple as having light or being able to charge our phones was a luxury for me, and it hit me hard. Over 500 individuals had died, and millions were displaced from the comfort of their own homes. The real impact was the aftermath of the floods. When the floodwaters receded, it left behind years' worth of accumulated waste that no one had cleaned up properly. Looking down from the 6th floor of my apartment, it was so mind-boggling at the age of 6 to see this much waste all in one spot, realizing that we had made all of this and had absolutely no plan for it to go anywhere. Chennai sits in a region where intensifying monsoon variability and rising sea temperatures have made flooding significantly more likely and more severe over time. Extreme rainfall events across South Asia have increased by around 75% over the last 3 decades. And the city I grew up in is now measurably more dangerous than the city that my parents grew up in. For me, the darkness had ended. My family got back the power eventually. For 770 million individuals living in global energy poverty around the world, many living in regions just like Chennai, that simply was not the case. Ever since then, I've been asking myself a question. What does it actually mean to live sustainably? Well, the answer is probably pretty straightforward, right? Like, I can just use a reusable water bottle and carry tote bags to the grocery store, etc. Let me replace all my plastic Tupperware with glass, and I'm gonna stop using plastic straws, and I will switch them. I will buy glass straws. When we see a problem, our instinct is to always buy a solution. But is that really living sustainably, or is it just consuming differently? Ever since then, I've been thinking, living sustainably should mean so much more than just purchasing eco-friendly products. It should involve us changing our mindset and our habits to overall reduce the environment impact that we have. So, a new product, a better product, a greener product that we buy, but it's still a product. You're still buying, you still have the same relationship with that product, but you've just swapped out what's in your cart now. With every item that you buy, efficiency doesn't automatically mean reduced consumption. Here are a few examples. Fuel-efficient cars still means more miles driven. LED light bulbs still means that you have lights left on. Cara Alfonte, a famous architect, once said, "The greenest building is the one that's already built." That logic applies everywhere. The greenest phone is the one that's already in your pocket now. The greenest clothes already exist in your wardrobe. Every new product starts its environmental ledger from zero. And yet the entire infrastructure around sustainable living is sold to us completely based on us buying something new. The degrowth theory is the idea proposed by Jason Hickel, an anthropologist, stating that infinite growth on a finite planet is physically impossible, and driving it, chasing it down, leads to ecological breakdown. And no country currently today meets basic human needs within sustainable consumption levels. and swapping out what we consume isn't going to change that math enough even then. Consumer culture shapes how we think about problems. Buying green is so appealing because it lets you keep your identity as a consumer while resolving the guilt. And with this, no real change is required. A few people have asked me if what I'm doing is even going to change anything. One person, me, not choosing to buy a shirt from H&M that's on sale isn't going to change the world. But at that point in my life, I didn't really know what to say back, as it is true to some extent, right? I didn't believe that solutions at the individual level are enough to make a difference, but something changed. I realized that while a single drop of water is harmless, enough drops of this can come together and create the very flood that sat outside my window in Chennai. If a single individual drop of water has the power to destroy when they work in unison, then individual action must have the power to transform when they are aligned towards the same goal. So to this, if we think about it, living sustainably should involve so much more than just buying eco-friendly products. So if we think about the impact that we have and what we do for the world, we should consider how we talk about it. Every single product that we buy starts with some sort of energy that we use. And we need to realize that we should prioritize reducing over reusing and recycling. And I'll discuss that more in the later parts of my speech. But what I want to talk about now is that green consumption isn't pointless. The point is that if one disregards the function of an isolated component, it makes it very hard for it to be considered as a whole. So let me break this statement down a bit more with a few examples. One single piece of garbage on the street is not going to pollute an entire city. However, pollution is a real phenomenon and can only be understood with the consideration of several small instances of polluting acts. Likewise, a single cell is not, if a single cell malfunctions, it's not going to compromise the health of an individual. But if several cells malfunction, then a tissue, a system, and even an organ can be compromised at that point. So in this case, one person living their life sustainably is probably not going to change the course of the environment around us. However, for policies to be enacted, for the market to shift, and for society to change their thinking, we need people to believe in it, to act on it, and to gain power from it. This can only happen when more and more people talk about it, and more people are concerned with the issue of sustainability. Simply put it, if you ignore the issue, it's not going to solve itself. It's akin to Pascal's wager, which states that it is rationally better to believe in a God, even if the probability of God existing is low, because the potential gain, which is eternal happiness, is infinitely greater than the potential loss of nothing if you do believe in God and God doesn't exist. That same general idea applies to sustainability. One person doing a sustainable action is probably not going to have a huge impact in the long run on a community, but if it doesn't harm you, you might as well do it just in case it does make a difference. In devil's advocate, sometimes it is hard to deny ourselves of gratification, especially when the things we want are so easy and so affordable. Unfortunately, it's hard to change people's mindsets, and it's even harder to change their habits. Some people think that their individual action doesn't matter, and they don't realize that it does matter until it's too late. But something that shifts this perspective is this quote: "A single raindrop never feels responsible for the flood." So to wrap it up, green consumption isn't pointless, but learning to prioritize reducing matters more than recycling and reusing. The reason for this is that reducing actually stops the problem before it starts, whereas recycling and reusing tends to shift the problem elsewhere. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't recycle or reuse the items that you have, but just saying that you should focus on reducing your consumption, as that's the main starting point and the main focus. So, the argument that I'm trying to make now is that treating buying green solutions as the entire answer to living sustainably lets the systems driving it entirely off the hook. And framing buying green as a personal consumer choice is a very convenient story that industries use who benefit from nothing changing. So for the darkness I described at the start, for me, it lasted a few weeks. However, for the 770 million individuals living in energy poverty, it is every night with no end in sight. And for the trash I saw sit outside my window in Chennai, it reminds me of how I got here. So here's what you can do with all of that. Every time you pick up a new product, it's best to check if what you already have can be fixed or reused for just one more year. It's easy to feel like we have to buy green to make a difference, but sometimes the best move is just to buy less. We can't really shop our way out of a crisis, but we can definitely change our impact by simply appreciating what we already have. Oftentimes, the things we already own at home have so much life left in them if we just give them a chance. One person can absolutely, positively, definitely make an impact and make a difference in their own way and in their own life. Living green should start with what we choose not to buy. Thank you.